Alright, we're gonna flow here. This video, I will be talking about boundaries and boundaries as a whole. And maybe you can relate to this. Maybe you can relate to your own struggle with boundaries, boundary setting, guilt, shame, maybe being a people pleaser, and maybe all the ways that you have justified to yourself that it's a good way to be, as I did for so long, and the things that created this response, and the things that helped me and are still helping me, obviously, because y'all know if you're struggling with boundaries, it is an ongoing thing. Because sometimes it's easy, right? But then sometimes you're like, oh shit, I'm back. Old me is back. I'll do whatever you want. Nah, legit. Anyway, so boundaries. I guess I just can start about like sharing a bit about me and a bit like where I sort of struggled with boundaries and where I am now. So, oh man, weird to post this on the internet. I've got to think about a way, like almost to talk about it, because I don't want to share too much personal information. But I guess if you grow up, you be in some way. Obviously, your parents, siblings, family, friends, they all make a massive impact on your boundaries and how you show up, right? These are the things that mold you. And I guess I'll try to be relatively brief with my history, but I grew up, I would say, somewhat of like an emotional caretaker, and in some situations where you had to perform or be conditionally loved, and as a result, what are the things that I wanted? What are the things that I want as a human being, right? You want love, you want healthy attention, you want connection, and if you're not getting that, you have to, that's the most important thing to get. It's the most important thing to receive, right? Love, care, compassion, attention, from your family, from your parents, from your friends and siblings, whatever. But this is what we want. At the end of the day, this is what we want. This is what we need. This is what we need to develop healthily. This is what we need to. This is our innate need to grow into a human being, an emotional, caring, loving, connective human being. And so when you're not receiving that stuff, you have to sacrifice some part of yourself often to receive and to get that. It's like a transaction. It's a payment. It's a payment that you make to receive the things that you deserve, and there shouldn't be a payment. But unfortunately, the case for many people is that there is a payment, and oftentimes it's a lot of a payment. But now that we know it, it's a beautiful thing to realize, right? Because you can change, you can influence that, and it's not too late. It's never too late. But sorry if that's in the microphone. I won't know until later. But there was a certain point in my life where I had sacrificed, and it's interesting, right? Because there was part of me that was tough and resilient, and that's how I was sort of grown, that's brought up and raised, is to be a strong, mentally tough, resilient person, right? And that sort of goes hand in hand with someone with no boundaries, because the more shit you can take, the greater your transaction that you're willing to pay to receive this love and attention. It just affirms your resilience. It just affirms your mental toughness. And so for so long, for like all of my life, only in the past 3 or 4 years, I've really recognized this, but are we recording? Yeah, we're recording. I really recognized how much of a payment I was making, how much I had to give up in order to receive. And it's give up of myself, right? Part of myself, and the love that I should be giving myself, or is much better well spent giving to myself. To the point where, you know, I had no boundaries. It's not like I even had some boundaries. It's like my boundaries were, if I had boundaries over here, right? Say metaphorically, the boundary is a meter away. That's normal person. That's a good boundary, right? You got your space inside. Every single person in my life, every single relationship was living inside my 1 meter boundary, right? So my world, I was so used to constantly giving up things for myself, love for myself, energy for myself, caringness and kindness, all for myself. Give up all of that at a rate of 100%, to where everyone in my life sort of was lived in here. Not their fault. My lack of boundaries. But this is just the result. This is just the outcome. This is the symptom of this protective mechanism, or in this case, less so a protective mechanism. Well, in some cases it would be a protective mechanism, because potentially, you know, you're in a situation as a child where if you have boundaries, you're punished. So that is actually, yeah. So that's partially a protective mechanism, but also partially a mechanism to just receive what we deserve, right? Just a desperate desire to receive whatever it is, love, attention, unconditionally, right? And so yeah, at some point, you know, realize that, oh shit, like, you know, I was in a relationship. Oh. I don't know if that's still recording. My phone's gonna die soon. I was in a relationship, and then this came out heaps in a relationship, right? Because I was with someone who, and we were, you know, it was perfect. We sort of like mixed and matched our triggers and traumas perfectly. And so it was actually quite good. You know, the relationship is over, but it was the most influential, positive outcome, highly developmental period of my life by far, without a doubt. Because it taught me so much about myself. It taught me so much about other people. It taught me a lot about boundaries, and yeah, it was very good in hindsight, very positive life experience, extremely positive life experience. But yeah, at some point, you know, you realize like, oh my God, I've been giving away and living the same pattern and same mechanism in all of my relationships, and no wonder I feel so tired. No wonder I feel so unmotivated, and exhausted. Don't have time for other people, and then you start to question, well, why am I doing this? And for a long time, I didn't understand why I had these boundaries. I just thought it was normal. I just thought it was family. I just thought that was love, right? You start to have a skewed opinion of, or belief of, what love is and what love means and how you show that. And then you begin showing the same type of love to other people, where you give it to them conditionally and all sorts of things, and it just kind of repeats in that manner. But if you can see that, if you can realize that, then you are obviously at a very great step, and you can develop that and change that. But the most important thing is when you keep asking yourself questions, when you keep looking, when you keep going deeper, you realize that this whole time it's because you were never able to give yourself the full amount of love and attention and care that you actually were looking for in the first place. And so inner child stuff is quite helpful, and a lot of self-love is so important when you are trying to heal these parts of you, or stop these patterns. And so it took a long time, and it's like this endless journey, right, of trying to make sure that you are able to balance having boundaries in relationships, boundaries with yourself, boundaries in situations with work, sub-obligations potentially. Because within the boundary setting is also like this guilt and shame, which was there, that if you were, if you did have boundaries, if you were putting in place these boundaries, potentially you were made to feel guilty or shameful, and like you're not good or bad. And so you begin to adjust all your behaviors subconsciously as a child, right, to make sure that you are loved, right? And it's this crazy little like cycle, self-contained bubble of, if only you could just love yourself in some way and show yourself that love. And really, for me, the biggest impact and the biggest helper or influence to improving this is being alone, taking time for yourself, and oftentimes doing nothing and just practicing gratitude, love, and positive self-talk, and trying to really feel the love for yourself that you needed as a kid. And probably one of the biggest breakthroughs that I had around this was actually being there with my child self, and actually me as my adult self now giving him that love when he needed it. And then at that point you can see how you actually can give yourself that love. If you can give yourself that love as a child, if you can give yourself that sweet, innocent child love with ease now, you can do the exact same thing to yourself now. And when you can start to see that and understand that vision and feel that moment or experience, that is something you can just continuously practice and practice and practice until it has just become the default. And sometimes still last night I was willing to just completely sideline the things that I wanted. I met a girl here, and we grabbed some dinner, and immediately I'm just like, I don't care, whatever happens. And then she asked me like, yeah, but what about your boundaries? What about because we spoke about this, and I was like, oh my God, I completely just jumped straight back into the old loop, straight. And I've been working on this for like 4 years, but you just all of a sudden you're just back in this loop, and then you just realize like, shit, wow. So it's just particularly great if you can be with someone or spend some time with people who understand this and respect that and are considerate, because it's moments like that where I grow and I'm like, yes, okay, so in these situations, even this little tiny thing about, I don't even know what it was, dinner or going into some shop, I don't know, it's like little tiny things that are just beautiful, perfect reminders of times you can actually use to strengthen your boundaries next time or at any point. So it's just really, the healing process is all about consistency with these things and being there for yourself and not being hard on yourself. If you fuck up something, it's chill. It's okay. If you jump back into your loop, it's fine. It's sort of expected, It's never going to be perfect, but you can just get more tuned to and more accustomed to and more used to just seeing the loop happening or potentially happening, and then, short wiring it. What's it called? That's not called short wiring it. I don't know what that's called. Short wire. No. Short circuit. That's it. And so it's like becomes this little like experience game thing where you can just little reminder, consistency, and using all of the resources that you have, whether it's an experience or a memory or a feeling in your body, to use them as tools to help you on your journey. And a lot of the time people give you tools, very specific tools that will help you, and like sometimes they do, but sometimes they really don't. And sometimes what you need to do is, or what is the most helpful and beneficial to you, is just doing it yourself and figuring it out on your own in some way, because that's how you're going to learn the most. And then you start to really connect and learn with yourself, and you respect yourself. You then begin to trust yourself. And if you can start figuring this stuff out for yourself and understanding it through your own life, your own experience, and your own lens, and like if you can take what I'm saying and apply that to yourself and your experiences, and then figure out tools and experiences and memories or whatever it is that help you, that is so much greater and so much more beautiful of a relationship with yourself than anything that you could possibly be doing, because you're taking the time and the intention to build that and actually create a foundation, a strong foundation for yourself and your self-love. So if anyone ever comes to you, and if there's any a situation in the future where that's questioned or doubted, you've been through so much for yourself, and you've really put yourself, or backed yourself, and created this new foundation that can't be shaken, can't be changed. And what a better thing to have at the end of your life, when if anything, if you could say that you were there for yourself, if you loved yourself, if you just created a beautiful relationship with yourself over that time. What kind of more fulfilling thing is there to do, other than positively influence other people? But like you're born alone, you die alone, and if you can have this beautiful arc of relationship with yourself that you've been able to nurture and change and improve and work on, man, what a beautiful thing. So I don't know, I feel like I just rambled a little bit there, but that's just a bit of my story, and just talk about experience and some conversation on boundaries. And yeah, I probably could do like a bunch of videos on this, but it's now 16 minutes or something. So again, thank you very much for listening. Appreciate it if you made it this far. Thank you. I'm grateful for you, and hope you stay tuned, stay around, follow, subscribe, comment if you feel similar. Let me know. And yeah, thank you very much.